All the processes such as respiration, nutrition, circulation, excretion etc. that are necessary for the survival of the living organisms are known as life processes. Modes of nutrition. The two most common types of nutrition are autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition. It is a type of nutrition in which inorganic materials such as carbon dioxide is used up to synthesize organic food by a process known as photosynthesis. For example, green plants use an autotrophic mode of nutrition. Organisms that use the autotrophic mode of nutrition are known as autotrophs. Now the question arises, how does autotrophic nutrition occur in plants using photosynthesis? For photosynthesis to occur, carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and chlorophyll are the required raw materials. Sunlight provides energy, chlorophyll is used to absorb the sunlight, carbon dioxide is reduced to carbohydrates and water is oxidized to release the oxygen. Water is taken up from the soil through the roots. The site where photosynthesis occurs is known as chloroplast. They contain a green color pigment known as chlorophyll that traps sunlight for photosynthesis. The steps of photosynthesis are as follows. Absorption of light by chlorophyll. Conversion of light energy into chemical energy. Splitting of water into hydrogen and oxygen. Finally, reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. Leaves contain small openings known as stomata which helps in the exchange of gases. The stoma is surrounded by a guard cell which guards the opening and closing of stomata. Guard cells also contain chloroplast. Fig. Point 1. Structure of stomata. The overall equation of photosynthesis is. Fig. Point 2. Overall equation of photosynthesis. Heterotrophic nutrition. In this mode of nutrition, an organism is unable to synthesize its food. It is of the following types. 1. Holozoic nutrition is a type of nutrition where an organism takes in whole food and breaks it inside the body. For example, amoeba. 2. Saprophytic nutrition is nutrition in which organisms feed on dead and decaying matter. For example, fungi. And 3. Parasitic nutrition is nutrition in which an organism feeds on a living host. For example, cuscuta. Nutrition in human beings. Humans consist of the alimentary canal which starts from the mouth and ends at the anus. The parts of the alimentary canal are as follows. 1. Mouth. 2. Pharynx. 3. Esophagus, food pipe. 4. Stomach. 5. Small intestine. 6. Large intestine. 7. Rectum. And 8. Anus. Fig. Point 3. Human digestive system. Mouth is the first portion of the alimentary canal. The mouth consists of a muscular tongue and teeth. The cavity inside the mouth is known as the oral cavity. Fig. Point 4. Human mouth parts. Mechanism of digestion of food. Food digestion process begins in the mouth. Food is complex in nature. To break down food and absorb it, we need biological catalysts known as enzymes. The mouth contains salivary glands that secrete saliva. Saliva contains an important enzyme known as the salivary enzyme that breaks down starch into simple sugars. The food then passes via the esophagus into the stomach. The movement of the food inside the esophagus occurs via rhythmic contraction of muscles. This is known as peristalsis. The stomach contains gastric glands that secrete mucus, hydrochloric acid and pepsin. Pepsin is a protein digesting enzyme. After the stomach, food then enters the small intestine. The small intestine is larger in herbivores due to cellulose digestion compared to carnivores. Complete digestion of carbohydrates, proteins and fats occurs in the small intestine. The small intestine receives secretions from the pancreas and bile from the liver. Bile helps in the emulsification of fats whereas the pancreas secretes enzymes such as trypsin for protein digestion. The intestinal wall also contains glands that secrete intestinal juice. The small intestine has villi that increase the surface area for the absorption of food. The unabsorbed food is then transferred to the large intestine where water is absorbed. Undigested food is then expelled out from the anus. Respiration. It is a metabolic process that involves the breakdown of food to release energy is known as respiration. Fig. Point 5. Breakdown of glucose by different pathways. The breakdown of pyruvate into ethanol and carbon dioxide in absence of oxygen is known as fermentation. As this process occurs in absence of oxygen, it is known as anaerobic respiration. When the pyruvate is broken down into carbon dioxide and water in presence of oxygen, it is known as aerobic respiration. The energy released during the process is used up to synthesize the ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Compared to animals, plants used stomata to exchange carbon dioxide and oxygen. This exchange occurs through diffusion. Respiration in human beings. Human respiratory system starts with the nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles and then lungs. In the lungs, alveoli are present, where an exchange between oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place. Fig. 6. Passage of air in humans. Humans have a respiratory pigment known as hemoglobin to carry the oxygen to different parts of the body and to remove carbon dioxide from the body. Compared to oxygen, carbon dioxide is more soluble in water, so it is usually transported in dissolved form. Transportation in human beings. Blood is a fluid connective tissue that transports food, oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogenous waste etc. Blood contains plasma and blood cells. Red blood cells carry oxygen throughout the body. The heart is the pumping organ in the body. The human heart is four-chambered, with 2 atriums and 2 ventricles. The left atrium receives the oxygen-rich blood from the lungs. While receiving the blood it relaxes. The left ventricle pumps oxygen-rich blood throughout the body. Deoxygenated blood comes from the body to the upper right atrium. It contracts to pump the blood to the right ventricle. The right ventricle pumps the blood to the lungs for oxygenation. Fig. 7. Structure of human heart. Note: fishes have a 2-chambered heart, amphibians and reptiles have a 3-chambered heart except crocodiles which possess a 4-chambered heart. Birds and mammals also have 4-chambered hearts. Double circulation. The right side and left side of the heart are separated to prevent the mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. In vertebrates, blood goes through the heart twice during each cycle. This is defined as double circulation. NTSE. Fig. 8. Double circulation. Note: the force that the blood exerts against the wall of the vessel is known as blood pressure. The pressure of blood inside the artery during ventricular contraction is known as systolic pressure, whereas the pressure in the artery during ventricular relaxation is known as diastolic pressure. The normal blood pressure is 128ths of a millimeter of Hg. Artery. Capillary. Vein. They carry blood away from the heart. 1 cell thick smallest vessels. They carry blood towards the heart. They carry oxygenated blood except for the pulmonary artery. Help in the exchange of the material between the blood and surrounding cells. They carry deoxygenated blood except for the pulmonary vein. They have thick walls and do not have valves. They do not have valves. They have thin walls and also possess valves. Platelets are blood cells that help in blood clotting. Lymph is also known as interstitial fluid, as a fluid that leaks out from the pores of the capillaries. Transport in plants. Plants have the xylem tissue for the transportation of water. Xylem transports water from the roots to different parts of the plants. Xylem tissue consists of vessels and tracheids. Loss of water in the form of water vapor from the aerial parts of the plants is known as transpiration. The transpiration creates a suction that pulls the water up to the higher plants. Similarly, the transport of food in plants occurs via the phloem. It transports food from the leaves to different parts of the plants. Fig. 9. Transport in plants. Excretion. The process involved in the removal of nitrogenous waste from the body is known as excretion. The excretory system of humans consists of a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters, urinary bladder and urethra. The basic filtration unit of the kidneys is known as nephrons. The nephron is the structural and functional unit of the kidneys. They consist of a Bowman's capsule and a renal tubule. For the formation of urine, some substances such as glucose and amino acids are selectively reabsorbed. The amount of water reabsorbed depends on how much water is there in the body. The urinary bladder is a muscular structure and it is under nervous control. Fig.